This is for anybody who's just starting out on the web development journey. One of the foundational skills that you must understand as a web developer is CRUD application development. What's a CRUD application? It's an application with a front end and a back end that lets you create, read, update, and delete data based on the actions the user is taking on the front end, and it updates that automatically using an API on the back end. Let's walk through the backend implementation and the front end implementation and show you how they connect. So what I've done here is initialize a simple backend server using Express and npm. So I've just defined my server and added a few dependencies: Express, Nodebond, and cores. Cores is going to help me handle the network calls back and forth and secure them. Express is going to help me be the framework for my server on the back end. And Nodebond is going to help me continuously develop on the server using a command called npm run dev, so that I can automatically update the server and those updates can go live as I edit the code. I'm going to walk myself through the file and go to server.js. Inside server.js, I'm going to first import all the necessary libraries. I'm going to create an application. Then I'm going to create different routes that correspond with the actions I want the user to take. So you can get or read the items that are in my backend. You can post or create an item in my backend. You can put or update an item based on the ID of that item in my backend. And finally, you can delete an item on the database based on the ID that you give me. Then I'm just going to open up my port for my server, turn my server on, and then interact with that server using my backend. Let's move to our front end. In our front end application, what I've done is I've just scaffolded a simple React application using Vite. Inside of that scaffold, I've added Chakra. Chakra is a component library just to make developing easier within our application. So here is my main file. In my main file, I've added the Chakra provider. I've also imported that provider from Chakra React, which I've npm installed into the application. I'm going to move over to app.jsx. This is essentially where most of the functionality is happening. I'm going to start off by showing you my imports. Here I'm using different icons and different components from Chakra, and I'm using a library called Axios to handle the network calls between my front end and back end. I'm going to use state for different things like the items that I'm displaying on screen and how those items are interacting, and it can match my database. I'm using useEffect to get those items or read those items using my get endpoint. I'm using add item to add an item and post that item in my backend server. I'm using update item to take an existing item's ID and then update any values on it. And then finally, there's a delete, which just deletes it from my backend and also deletes it from my front end. To showcase this, I've just created a simple list that you can add or remove different items on that list. And I've used different buttons to showcase whether I'm editing or deleting or creating the item. Here's my simple CRUD front-end client. So here, what I could do is, let's say I'm doing a grocery list. I can add different groceries. And we'll do a couple more. And you'll notice that I'm able to see that list and see that list updated in real time as it hits our backend and gets these items. I can also edit the list and then update the name of the item on my backend. So let me do that because I only want one banana. And I could delete different items and match what the list looks like on the front end and the back end. So this is the power of a CRUD application, and it's a foundational step in your full stack web development journey.